Welcome to the new episode of the Techkraft podcast. I'm your host Ravi Mandal, Director of Engineering at Techkraft, and today we have a very new guest, Rachhek Shrestha, who is a data scientist at Futurice, Finland. But before getting started to the episode, please consider subscribing to the channel and get notified for the latest content that we upload weekly. So welcome to the show, Rachhek.
Thank you very much, Ravi. I'm glad to be here.
So Rachhek, we have known each other for a very long time, probably 6-7 years. So. And I still remember the day when we used to, मेरो घरमा बसेर हामीले राति कोड गरेर and we presented that to UN next day अनि even got the Imagine Cup competition जितेर आएको हैन. So I think that was a very great journey and the work that we have done together has really helped me in my career and I'm thankful for that as well. So before starting on the core content of this podcast, just wanted to know a little bit more about yourself. I know very much about you, but just wanted to make sure that the audience know about you. So could you please give a brief intro?
Yeah, sure, Ravi. Well, I'm Rachhek Shrestha, currently living in Helsinki, Finland. I'm working as a data scientist in a tech consultancy company called Futurice. My day-to-day work is mostly building an internal search engine product for Futurice, but I also do 50% of client work and I divide my work in internal and external projects right there.
So internal search engine, it's a search engine that helps you to search documents and data that's been inside the company, right?
Mm-hmm. It's mostly about searching knowledge inside a company because as the company grows, so does the disconnection and knowledge just keeps on becoming scattered inside the company and it's hard to find knowledge. And in our company, there are salespeople who need to be, armed with the latest knowledge that they need about the client to get the best form of what they want to present to the client. And this type of knowledge they need to search inside the company to be very productive. And the company can have, a lot of employees, like 700 employees, and maybe over the course of 20 years of the history of the company, there are many people who have come in and gone out, and we need to kind of harness the collective intelligence. So for this, we are building this search engine to better improve the productivity of the employees inside the company.
That seems pretty interesting to me. I understand that pain, and when you're starting a company, there is so much going on in the company itself, and sometimes what happens is you get disconnected with the business units that's going on in the company itself, and to sync गर्नको trouble I face that as well. Is it a SaaS product or is it something that integrates to the existing ecosystem of the company itself?
Well, right now it is not a SaaS product. It's just an internal product that's just running inside internal servers, just available to the company employees. But sooner or later, we are slowly gathering learnings inside the company because the team that I'm working inside the company is mostly about just trying to transform internal work processes and business flows by improving organizational knowledge flow. And we are planning to gather these learnings from ourselves first, then trying to build good story cases, compelling story cases to eventually sell to the clients. So eventually it might become a SaaS product. So we are in the journey right now.
So currently it's just a research product that you're trying to build an MVP out of it, right?
Mm-hmm. It's more of like an experimental thing. So we're building a search engine, but eventually we have in roadmap, we have things like building a recommended system so that, employees can get right information at the right time and this kind of things.
Oh, that sounds nice. So does it integrate also? So it's an ERP or how does that work then?
How does it work as in?
For example, company insights, there must be a data source, for example, in our company we use Office 365. Some company might use Google Sheet, and सबै data त्यसमै हुन्छ नि त. So how does Futurice is trying to integrate to that data, or is it something that हुन्छ नि उनीहरुकै platform use गरेर चाहिँ we'll have to implement our ERP?
Yeah, the thing with Futurice, what I've seen there is that there is not a standard process there because people believe so much in self-organizing, and there are so many small teams inside the company, and there is not one big standard process that says that let's all use the same system. And because what they believe is that we should give this autonomy to the employees themselves to decide what is best for them and what's best for the team. So there are a lot of small different systems which only a small part of the company is using, and the data is in like different small systems. Some in Google Drive. We are also using HubSpot, and there's also knowledge scattered in maybe some Slack conversations, and different types of systems. But ultimately, we found that the silos are being created, and knowledge is just not becoming transferred easily, and there's like a lot of friction in knowledge transfer. And this is the main reason the product that we're building is trying to kind of centralize all of this knowledge and make it really easy to access.
That sounds interesting. So yeah, that's also something that we have already faced. Like multiple teams use multiple tools, and just to see any information, you have to log into another tool, and like so that's another thing, right? So like let's talk a little bit about the journey to Helsinki. Helsinki भनेको त्यो के भन्छ मनी हाइस्टको क्यारेक्टर याद आउँछ एनिवेज सो Helsinki before going to Helsinki you were in Sweden, and like त्योभन्दा अगाडि पनि you were working as a software developer in Nepal itself. We worked together in the same company for 2 years. So could you please like give a brief intro about your journey to Sweden? And I know like you struggle a lot to get into the Sweden university, and you were trying to get a scholarship there. So like just wanted to highlight that as well. So could you please say that?
Yeah, sure. Well, to begin, I did my bachelor's here. I studied BSc CSIT, and I just loved programming back from when I was a kid, and I just wanted to study computers. So that's what I studied. But around the middle of my bachelor's, I had this feeling that I really wanted to go abroad and study master's, and I just didn't want to do it here. I just wanted to study abroad more for the experience, for the different academic organization and different way of teaching. But my initial plan was to study here, maybe do 1 year of work or internship and then apply abroad. But then 1 year turned into 3 years, and I eventually did 2 different jobs. And in my second job in a commercial bank here in Nepal, there was also this hype around machine learning, data science, and I was also working with a little bit of data inside the bank as well, and I saw a lot of potential there. So I started researching about what can I study in master's. So I was kind of confident back then that I really want to do it in data science. So I studied, I searched for a lot of master's courses. I just did a lot of Google searches, scholarship, like typing keywords like scholarship, Europe, data science. And I came across one program called EIT Digital Master School. And they had like a couple of different majors, and one of them was data science. And the minor was also in entrepreneurship and innovation. And I thought that really looked cool, what I really wanted to do. And that's what I eventually did. And this program is like a double degree 2 years program in 2 different universities across different top universities in Europe, in 10 different countries. And I chose Sweden for my first year and Finland as my second year. And that's how I eventually ended up in Finland, because in my second year of master's, I had to kind of do my master's thesis inside a company. So that's what I came across Futurice, who were opening a position just specifically for EIT Digital Master students because of their multidisciplinary skills and knowledge in data science, computing, and entrepreneurship as well. And that's how I eventually ended up there. And I started did my thesis there. After thesis, they called me back, and I eventually started working.
That's a very complicated journey, like summarized in a very few sentences. I really know like how you were so working on to get into Sweden itself, and then but I didn't know it was given in different countries. And when you said like I'm in Finland, I was like, what? You went to Sweden, and that's why I always get confused whether you went to Finland or Sweden. But I'm very glad like how your struggle has paid off. But also you have built a very good profile itself, because you have a background of being a developer and building software applications in the back-end, front-end, as well as now moving into data science and data engineering. So could you please shed some light in terms of like how is it different in terms of being an average developer and like being working in data scientist, or like what's data science first, and then like what does a data scientist do? Like, could you please explain that as well?
Yeah, sure. Well, what I can say is when I was working as a software developer, eventually it's about you get a set of requirements, you build it, but the major difference that I've seen when working with data science is that you have a very vague or a very high level problem that you get, a question or maybe a research question that a company wants answered, and they also have a set of data that they know that what they have, and the difference is that you work from end to end, from data all the way to an application that uses or utilizes this data, and there are a lot of overlaps between, I think, software engineering and data science as well. And although the term data scientist can be a little bit broad as well, because there's a lot of diversity in the type of people that are working as data scientists as well, because a data scientist can also be like very heavily focused just on research and maybe not on programming, and they are very heavy on maths and statistics. But there are also data scientists that I've seen who are just mostly confident in using cloud technologies and just using data engineering tools out there from Azure, AWS. Maybe they're heavy in that, maybe they're more proficient in that. And there's also different sort of data scientists that are maybe more heavy on programming and application development. And there are a lot of similarities. For me, I've seen that working all the skills that I've eventually gathered from up to this point as a software developer has eventually been useful in data scientists as well. And I can maybe debug things better when working with systems, because when I need to collect data, I try to try to build my own scripts, and sometimes the tools that are there, data engineering tools that are there, might not work as expected, and then you need to kind of know how to debug things and write your own script and maintain your version controls of your code. And in terms of data science, I've seen that some similar concepts also carry over there. Maybe you're also maintaining version control of your data, and maybe also have a version of your model and your experiments that you run and different parameters that you are setting. And a lot of things can carry over, and I see a lot of similarities there as well.
Yeah, that is true. But you have also given us a very good highlight in terms of like how having a very basic knowledge of the things that we do in software engineering as well as in this entire IT field helps a lot in everything, right? Like we have covered this particular topic in multiple podcasts itself, like how having the basics, like getting your basics right and strong is very important in terms of whatever career path you choose in terms of IT. Like could be infrastructure, could be software development, could be data or anything, but core concept, it's very required itself.
Yeah, right now I also think maybe I feel like I'm still a software developer, but maybe now I'm still maybe just equipped with using more of the machine learning libraries, and I understand basic machine learning concepts, and maybe I can build smart systems. But I still feel like I'm a software developer, and maybe sometimes my role, I'm used to wearing multiple different hats in the organization as well, depending on the type of project that I'm doing. But I feel like I've just increased my the tools and the libraries that I can work with, and maybe understand more concepts so that I can build maybe systems that have broader implications and more maybe something that is more smart.
Like this whole point is like it's an engineer mindset one. So like the whole point of being an engineer is solving problems and getting out solutions for that. And like at the end of the day, whatever you're doing in IT, whatever you're doing in this field itself is, at the end you are building solutions. At the end you are solving problems, right? Like it could be a very fancy self-driving car system, but at the end we are solving a problem. We are solving a problem saying, okay, if human drives, there are high risk of accidents and also like human fatigue and everything. So Tesla solve one, you are building a self-driving car. It could be a fancy thing, but at the end you are solving a very either a large problem or a very small problem. And that's an engineer mindset that I think helps a lot in terms of whatever you do in this field.
Yeah, I'm also seeing that it is good to have some software development skills, a little bit of front end, back end skills, being a data scientist as well, and not just that, having software skills as data scientist, if you know what I mean. Because when working in a company with business people who might or might not have technical skills, and they want something done with data and AI, and you might have the data, you might build a model, but they really see value when they see a system that they can run themselves or something that they can see. And it's good that when you have the skills in yourself, that you build a model, you clean the data, then you build a model around it, and you use that model with the back end and also build a front end around it, so that you can show this system that you built. And you can really show your value like rather quickly when you also use a little bit of front end skills to show what you built.
So wherever you go, these things are not gonna stop you, or maybe पछ्याउन चाहिँ छोड्दैन भन्छ नि, त्यस्तै हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ. Anyways, तपाईँको त्यो like when you talk about being in data itself, like and working as a data scientist, like I don't want to focus on tools and technologies or maybe programming language that you use in day-to-day basics, because if I say that, then like there will be a very wrong mindset saying कि यो सिक्यो भने त I'll be data scientist, तर that's not the right thing. तर just wanted to like know a little bit about like what are the tools and technologies that you use, but I'm not implying that कि just because you know this tool, you know data science, and तर for your day-to-day job and roles, like what are the tools that you use, and what are the programming languages that you script on?
Well, I've seen that mostly when you are working in academics, like if you're doing a research, our programming language is pretty common for when you're working as a data scientist. But in companies, still I think Python is very popular. And if you know Python, there are so many different libraries out there already built in data science and machine learning, but you can also use the same Python for building the backend systems, and you can quickly build systems. Python is pretty common. But in terms of data science library itself, it's pretty common to use things like TensorFlow, scikit-learn, and MLflow for tracking your packages and for tracking your experiments. And also a lot of cloud technologies these days, like Azure, AWS, have their own suite of different data science tools packages out there for machine learning models and deploying them. All of these are already there, and we use these tools a lot as well.
Yeah, that's a very good like on the stack to be working on itself, because when you mention Python, like you can build anything on that. You can build server scripting, you can build front-end application, you can develop back-end applications. You can also develop data models and everything from using Python. So I think it's been a very good decade for Python. And so like there are so many things that you can do, as well as like it's a one tool that you can nail all the hammers with. Hammer all the nails with. Anyways, so like in terms of like working culture in Finland itself, not just Finland, let's say Europe, what you have seen in terms what you have heard and like felt is Europe as a entire continent, like there might be exclusion of some countries, but they try to focus on a very healthy work culture itself. Healthy work culture as in saying you should not be overworking yourself, you should not be burnt out soon, yes, there are times when deadlines are difficult to meet, but how to maintain that a healthy balance between deadlines and your personal life, and mainly the work life balance bhन्छ जुन चाहिँ हामीले. अनि seeing that itself in Nepal and many companies around, I still feel like there is a very traditional approach into that, like we still are forced to come to office at 10 to 5. We're still forced to be at working hard through deadlines. काम सकेन भने still work at late nights and सुत नसुत बाल छैन, तर like you have to finish the work type को culture छ धेरै. like how is it different since you have been working there in Europe, and like how is that different, and how has it helped in terms of your personal life itself?
Yeah, I can try to say something about that. Maybe I cannot generalize for the entire Europe, but at least where I've worked in, at least in Sweden and Finland, like you said exactly, they believe a lot in work-life balance and having life outside of work very much. And even in my company, I guess the first impression that I had when I joined Futurice was that first of all, it's very relaxed and very low pressure environment. People are very friendly and it's very punctual as well. And it all ties into not just into the work culture of Futurice itself and the core values that Futurice believes in, which is currently there are 4 different core values: care, trust, transparency, and continuous improvement. And I think the point around work-life balance comes into this core value of care, which basically tries to mean that you need to care about your client, obviously, about your colleagues, and also about the company itself and about you as well. And this care value can have different layers in itself as well. Care between employer and employee, which basically means that employee knows that that a person is a social being, and they must have a life outside of work, and they really believe in mental health and having a good, healthy well-being for employees to function at their best. And this is one of the major differences that I've seen maybe while working here in Nepal, and like you said there, because they are like really vocal and like really passionate, and they really preach about let's have a healthy work-life being. You should not just focus on your work, have some hobbies. These things are like really out there, and they continuously talk about this. And it's not just part of the values that you just say, hey, we have these values, but I think they really try to live it out, because you see it in like day-to-day conversations in the company as well.
Mm-hmm. So like I think you were the one who sent me a blog like 5-6 years ago where they're saying there's nothing called work-life balance. And like, don't bombard me in comments, but like what I'm trying to say is there is nothing called work-life balance if you work in a very traditional way. Like, for example, if you need to go at work at 9, you have to wake up at 6 theoretically, but practically it doesn't happen. So you have to wake up at 6, like you have to break your breakfast, you'll have to get ready, and then to reach at 9 you have been working for last 3 hours. Then after work you have to still work to come back to home, and then again you start thinking about work itself, like, hey, these are the things that I did, and like these are the things that I need to do. So around a job might be 8 hours per day, but you're still giving at least 12-13 hours per day because you're not considering commute, getting ready for office, and like joining out from the office itself. So that really blew my mind itself, like, but till this date I still don't believe that because for me a normal schedule is like I wake up, get ready, go office, I exit from office, I leave office, I go home, sleep, and the cycle repeats. For now it's been like that for now a month. And like, how is your day-to-day schedule in that case then?
Well, it can still be the same. I'm not saying it won't be like that as well. And we have, just dedicated amount of time for working, and after this you can't work. It's not like that. It really can be similar as well. When you are close to deadlines or working pressure, you might be working more hours. It happens. But the thing is, we here maybe don't really talk about, yes, you can work, but after work, maybe you need time to recuperate and gather your energy and recharge yourself after a heavy work time. Maybe here we are not so vocal, but they really are. They also have maybe a psychologist right at your hand, and just a phone call away, and they really say that, hey, if you're under a lot of work pressure, feel free to reach out to them. And take a day off. If you are working more hours, use that extra working hours that you have accumulated to just take extra holiday, and you can use that as an extra holiday or just get extra compensation. That can happen. And the company itself is continuously like organizing events to like inside and outside of work, like after work events, or it can be different networking events or different exercises and mental health workshops, just to help you just recharge your energy and your batteries. And I think that's one of the major differences that I've seen here. Like, we are just maybe not so vocal about having a good work-life balance.
So it's not about changing the style of work and changing the entire schedule or routine of working.
Well, I've seen that it's pretty flexible there, at least in my company and other companies as well. The working hours is pretty flexible. You don't have to start the day at the same time. You can start a bit later, whatever. So the day-to-day work of some of my colleagues and maybe even me is that in the morning we might have our dailies. Then after that, after some dailies, people go to the gym again, and they come back to work again, and they after the gym they work a bit, and maybe they also go for lunch, and after the lunch they come back and work again. And it's pretty flexible. You can manage your own time, and you can manage your own schedule however you see fit, and just get the work done, and in a very low pressure, whatever time suits you the best kind of way.
So it's more of a mindset shift
Mm-hmm.
than once in a basic routine change or anything. Like, we just need to make sure as an employer or as a company, like, hey, like, we care about this stuff, and you should take care of yourself. भन्ने मात्र पनि एउटा like message गयो भने चाहिँ I think that's the only difference from what I feel like from what you have said. And at the end, it's the same working style, and we still solve the same problems, and we still work in the same way.
Yeah, and people also like really talk about hobbies and like what outside of work you are doing. And the thing that I noticed is that we recently had a change in CEO, and we had this online Ask Anything to the CEO session for the first time when we were introducing to the new CEO. And the questions that other people were asking was most about wanting to know what the CEO does outside of work first, and like what are their hobbies. And even the CEO, I was surprised that he had a lot of different hobbies outside of work. He used to be a professional skier, and he plays drums, and he plays music, and yeah, you just felt different seeing that a CEO has so many different hobbies, and everyone focuses so much on what do you do outside of work, what kind of person are you outside of work. That was such a part of a normal conversation that people just talk about it so much. When you're introducing yourself to the company in the Slack group channel, then everyone is asking, oh, so what do you do outside of work? We know what you are. You are in the company yourself, but who are you outside of the company? And that's a major part of every conversation, and that felt very new to me.
Yeah, that makes me feel so sad that I have no other hobbies than work. So like everyone is saying like, hey, build a hobby. Yeah, it's been difficult. Like, you used to play guitar, right, Paila?
Yeah, I do.
Still?
A little bit here and there. Yeah.
Okay. So that's how you introduce yourself to the employees in the company.
How I introduce myself? Well, yeah, I said I do this. I love to cook a little bit, things like this. I like to travel a little bit, and I like to do some sports exercises. And yeah, they really appreciate when you introduce yourself, not just from a technical person, what you are proficient at, but also what you are outside of work, like I said.
Yeah, but that also gives you a very good person of the person itself, like what kind of person he is, and like he or she is, and like how is it different from outside the work, because that's a part of life, and life is not work, and work is not life. But yeah, I do say that, but yeah, I don't follow that, but still. Yeah, I'm still practicing on this. So I try to get a new hobby. I bought a guitar, played 2 chords and left it. It's been a journey, but I'm still trying. So let's see how it goes in next few months. So there is something that Futurice has implemented. So I'm going back to the topic itself. It's called Industry 4.0. It's a very new term for me itself, and I really want to know more about it. Like what's Industry 4.0 and like how Futurice is implementing that.
Yeah, well, in a very basic sense, Industry 4.0 is basically the fourth, what we are calling the fourth industrial revolution. And I think we are in the middle of it. I think it's happening right now. The revolution before this was considered to be electronics and computers and this printed circuit board, which is revolutionized different industries, like all the way from manufacturing, construction, maybe healthcare, publishing, and this is the common thing that I've seen maybe in all the revolution is that basically it's ultimately trying to improve the work efficiency of people, improve the productivity, improve costs, like reduce costs, reduce waste, and also just make things better in a whole. These things, when there's a drastic change in all of these things across different industries, I think that's what is kind of meant by revolution. And right now, I think the thing that's happening with different things like machine learning and AI, IoT, very advanced big data analysis and advanced robotics, maybe AR, VR. I think all of this combined is what I would say is going to be the next revolution, because up to this point we have been making a lot of systems for everything, like software for everything, hardware, software, everything. But now, for the difference for Industrial Revolution 4.0 is everything's about making things smart, everything's about making things more intelligent, and these things is going to again reduce cost, increase output, and make things much better in a very drastic way. I think we are in the middle of it, and we're going to be there very soon.
Yep, that sounds interesting itself. But what I'd say, like, when you talk about smart things, there is always a meme or joke that comes on my head. Have you seen Silicon Valley?
Yeah, I have.
Silicon Valley, there's a fridge where I forgot his name. So Jing Yang, yes. So he buys a smart fridge which says, "Hey, you are out of ketchup," or "Hey, you are out of this." And Guilford just hacks that and says, adds a meme there. So, I have seen many smart things that really doesn't solve a problem and just say, "I'm smart."
Yeah.
And that's a bit. Like why things are shifting in that way. But yeah, every good revolution and every things that have changed, their downsides of it, but like people are still trying to make things better and smart. There are smart toothbrush, there are smart bottles, and there's smart everything. But hey, that's the wrong side of it. But there are smart things like saving electricity. That's a very good thing, because I want to implement that in my home itself. Like when you're not in home, or like something is not supposed to work when it's not required, like you just switch off the power because it helps saving the electricity itself. That's one thing that I'm trying to implement. And those things like centralized control of the entire home system, like for example AC, TV, or anything like that. Those things are like pretty interesting to me, because that helps a lot of problems itself. And also automation ma kura garदाखेरि चाहिँ, not just on that automation side, but also in terms of business automation, like creating flows and creating low code automated system in the company itself without having to write a code or having to write an entire system. That's something also interesting to me. So yeah, I really get your point now, like saying like how industries has shifted from like the agricultural revolution pachiko phase where like it was all manufacturing and creating stuff, and now it has shifted to building smart things and making sure that these smart things solves problems. So, but how is that like Futurice is currently implementing that in your company?
Well, maybe before I say that, there are some like real life use cases of making things smart and having improving things. For example, even if it's an e-commerce website, I just saw a statistic that just said, hey, implementing an autocomplete feature that is smart enough to guess what you're typing is going to increase sales maybe by more than 20%. And maybe I've also seen some examples in Finland, where I was reading an article about one of the very small airports in the north of Finland, which is very close to the Santa Claus village there. Maybe it only has like maybe 12 parking spaces for airplanes, but during the peak season in winter, when a lot of tourists are coming, there may be like more than 60 different planes that is coming in and out. And people have built a smart intelligence system that can just optimize the best parking for the airplanes, and it has kind of reduced the delays that's causing the airport delays by more than 60%. And this can have a lot of different implications in the cost, and maybe if one plane gets delayed, then it can have a ripple effect to many different airplanes. This is just a few of the examples about things what I mean by making things smart. In terms of Futurice itself, some of the projects that we are doing are around maybe construction. Like we have large construction projects that have streaming data coming in, and they collect this data and build a model which can basically predict or kind of guess some anomalies that might happen in different construction phases, so that they can take actions in the correct time before it even happens. These are some of the examples, and also around finding the right expert inside the company. That is one of the other things. And other examples around publishing, creating a great personalized news recommendation for people who comes to the news portal. There are projects around that for one of the biggest newspaper publishing companies in Finland, which has definitely improved customer engagement and retention in the website. And there are also projects around medical image analysis and around big data analysis. A couple of different things like object detection. Yeah, that's what I can remember so far.
Okay, this seems like they're working in many stuffs. The company is working in many stuff. So, but like from this conversation, what I've realized is a very different set of mindset in terms of like how things are implemented. Because when you talked about smart things, I talked about smart products.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talked about smart things, you talked about smart solutions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's, I don't know, but I'm not blaming or anything, but like that's what I've seen in Nepal. Smart is smart products.
Mm-hmm.
We have not seen smart solutions, but in terms of, but Finland being a country with where there are a lot of innovations coming in, like Nokia was started from there, what I've heard. SMS and like 5G, everything was started from Finland.
Also, Linux, yeah, and also Moomin maybe.
Moomin?
Yeah, Moomin's also from Finland. If you know that.
I always thought Moomin was a Nepali cartoon.
Exactly, I thought the same thing, and I always tell that to my Finnish colleagues. Hey, I always thought, Finnish, Mr. Moomin was a Nepalese character because it's dubbed in, Nepali, but no, it's actually Finnish.
All right, so not just smart innovations, but they also make entertainment cartoons.
Yeah.
So I think this is a very different mindset in terms of like what I've seen and what you have saw, in terms of different solutions that smart things can implement, but
I think they're taking even a step further. It's not just about just products or solutions. I think they're also talking. I've seen they are talking about in the strategy level of a company as well, and the vision of the company, and that's one of the maybe the differences that I've seen in the big companies there, because even companies are like becoming really I would say the word vocal again about saying, hey, we want to use big data advice and we want to use AI and machine learning in our core strategy as well. And that's what Futurice is trying to do as well. We just don't want to build products for companies. We want to become ultimately their strategic partner, because for long term, I think becoming a strategic partner would get you more business and really help you understand the client and solve their actual problem, because we're not just selling hands for hire, because that's what consultancies do, but we ultimately want to become a strategic partner by using data and AI. And And a lot of companies are buying into this agenda. They really want to use machine learning at their core and see and experiment and slowly see how we can use data into our day-to-day businesses and improve workflow. Let's just keep on optimizing. Let's just keep on improving and becoming smart. Yeah.
So now from smart products to smart solutions to smart decisions. So that's how things will go, I think. So but like, for example, let's say I have a company with let's say 1,000 employees. How would that 1,000 employee data make a journey of making a smart decision? Not just Futurice, or just a generic solution in terms of like if I have to make decisions A or B, or whatever it is, like how would that journey of data be? Like,
well, I'd say first it's about collecting data. First, we need to have systems in place that can actually do this, and after that, it's about coming together. And it's also about co-creating it with all your stakeholders inside the company. You come together, you sit down, you take a step back and see, hey, we have this data, so what can we do next? We have these processes, can we improve this? So it's all about coming together and doing a brainstorming sessions and asking yourself important questions. And there are different workshop canvases that also help you figure out these things. And you come together, you brainstorm, then you run some proof of concepts, and you see some potential maybe in some proof of concept, and you take it to the next level, build it into production. And I guess this is one step that people do to do this.
So it's not something like you throw data in a system and you don't make decisions. It's just that how to
maybe there are systems that help automate all of these processes, but at the moment, if there is not, then maybe it can be a little bit of manual work as well. You collect data. For example, one of the things that we are also analyzing currently is that companies are talking about sustainability. Hey, we want to be really sustainable because it's one of the hype words right now. We want to be sustainable and we want to do this and that. And we are kind of actually analyzing the digital footprint of a company. For example, maybe from their blogs or from the materials that they actually put out. And are they actually implementing it as well or not? Or are they just talking about it? Or we also analyze maybe their job postings in LinkedIn. We try to scrape it and see, are they actually talking about this? We want to see some correlation between if they're just talking about it, or maybe we would kind of assume that if they really are implementing it, maybe they are also trying to hire people around sustainability, and we try to see if it matches or not. So these are some of the analysis that we find for these companies and say that, hey, you are not actually, I think, implementing it. I think maybe you are lacking in this phase. Maybe you are just more talking about it and maybe not doing it. I think this kind of things kind of help you make decisions as well.
This particular thing is something that has always interested me. So the very first thing, because digital footprint, how can you calculate that? Because there is, like, for example, if I'm a company, let's say I'm Apple, I build an iPhone. iPhone has so many products, so many components there, and every component has a journey where it begins. Like, it could be China, it could be Taiwan, it could be like the other Samsung, Korea. So parts are made from there. It is shipped, it is built, assembled, whatever it is, right? Now, tracking the entire journey of the digital footprint is something very, very complicated because it involves multiple borders, multiple countries, and everything. But I think the work that you're working right now, it's a start on like how things like these in terms of sustainability can also be calculated, and also like we can play around the data around here. But so that's very interesting to me. But how has this been implemented in other like real world companies, or?
We're kind of making use of digital footprint in our own company. Like for example, one of the products that we are building as part of this small team that I'm working in is this thing called Bubble Burster, which is tries to can find you the person that you can reach out to about a certain topic. Like to find the expert, basically it's an expert finding solution inside the company to know who knows what well, obviously we have systems that says, hey, there's this person who has this kind of skills. We kind of write it down like manually. It's a manual system where everyone writes their thing down, what they know about and what kind of certification they have done and things like this. What are their expertise? What is their experience? But we are taking a bit step further and trying to kind of find the expert based on the digital footprint that a person or employee leaves in the company. And for this, we're taking data from their public calendar data, what kind of meetings they are attending and what is the agenda, what was the agenda of the meeting, and maybe public Slack discussions that people are having in the company. And also this, we also have a logging software to log what kind of work, what work you did for how many hours in the company. We also use that, and kind of because we assume that people write what they are working on that day, and which they might have not written on their, on their portfolio system of the company. So yeah, this is one example of the digital footprint that I'm talking about, what people might leave. It can also be around documents that you have created in the company. Maybe if you're a salesperson and you're creating a proposal, maybe you kind of write down different things about the problem or solution you're tackling, and you write down different technologies that you are planning to use and the type of solution you are building, and it can kind of implicitly be associated with you and your knowledge. And after that, it's all about collecting this different digital footprint and assigning the importance of which of this data source is going to affect your expertise in the broader level, and try to find the right expert. Yeah, this is one of the examples of this thing. Yeah.
So are we talking about different footprints?
Yeah, just digital footprints. Yeah.
But you mentioned you're collecting data from blogs. Oh my god.
Did you say bugs?
I thought blogs.
Blogs.
Plugs. I thought like you were talking about the energy efficiency and energy sustainability. And then I heard plugs and said I thought that, but yeah, I think you were talking in a different level. So yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
So, but yeah, that's still interesting. Like digital footprint is something that we never think about. And, but I was talking about carbon footprint. So yeah, two different things. Anyways, but you explained it pretty well. Thank you very much. But I want to go back to your master's itself. You mentioned that you implemented search engine in like as a thesis of your master's, and like what were the key discoveries that you figured out in terms of building a search engine in your thesis?
Yeah, I'll try to be very brief, but I kind of need to give a bit of a context and background of how I ended up doing that. Well, the question that was posted in the job posting for this was, hey, how can we use data to improve the customer centricity at Futurice? And by customer centricity, it kind of basically means understanding as much as you can about the client so that you can best serve them or care about them. And how can you use data to do this? And this was like a very vague question, and yeah, I had to do my thesis around it. And for the first month, it was a 4-month thesis internship. For the first month, I was just like interviewing a lot of people, a lot of salespeople. I was just trying to figure out, hey, what should I write my thesis about, and what does client centricity mean to each and every different person in the company. And ultimately, there was this major pain point, which is mostly about finding the right knowledge to actually know about the client to best serve them or to build the best solutions for them. It was mostly about this. This was the major point about finding knowledge at the right time, very quickly as possible, and trying to aggregate all the knowledge in one single place so that you can actually build something for the client and understand them as much as you can. So this was the major motivation. So ended up saying, hey, at first I think we at least need a search engine to do this, because currently the company is using Google Drive, but the Google Drive search is not as great as you think, and it's kind of, people thought it was basically a chaos of how the document is being organized there. Like I said, there's not a standard process to do this, so everyone, and yeah, documents are just scattered everywhere, and the knowledge is just scattered ultimately. So yeah, this was the major motivation to build this search engine inside the company. And some of the key discoveries, well, I would say that I kind of said that there are three different type of users for the search for the people in the company. Three different types of users. First one are are basically sales investigator, who just wants to know what kind of projects, hey, have we done about this client in the past? Because the person might be new to the company, the salesperson might be new, and they want to know the history of the portfolio of the clients that the company has worked with. And the second one are like knowledge reusers, which are basically people that just want to reuse something that has already been done by their colleagues so that they can save time and reuse past knowledge of the company. Why recreate the wheel again? And the third one are like idea generators, who just want to come up with new ideas, but they kind of want to get some knowledge about what is already there, so they want to do new things. So I saw these three different types of users in the company. So ultimately, like I said, I built this very proof of concept, quick search engine by using Google Drive documents. So here, like I said, my skill for both software development and data science, I think both came to use. I tried to use both of them. I ended up collecting the data, cleaning it, and like enriching the data by using key extraction, keyword extraction, because the documents are not labeled. It would have been great if all the documents were labeled by keywords, but it's not. Yeah. So I kind of tried to automate this by using some, machine learning libraries to just extract important keywords so they can be tagged automatically. And I also tried to find documents that are similar to each other, and by building document similarity models. So I built this model, but ultimately, like I said, people wanted to use a system. It's just not enough that you build a model, which is kind of hard to use if there's no system that can actually show you that this model works. So I also used a little bit of back-end and front-end skills that I had to actually build a search engine where you can type and see all the different, find the right relevant document, see the keywords that are around it, and find similar documents to it, so that everything is aggregated in a single place. Yeah. And yeah, maybe some other key discoveries that I would say is that I found that, relevancy for information retrieval system like the search engines are very hard to define, because relevance is so subjective. It might change based on context. It might change based on who is searching, and thing about this. And also other thing was, ultimately people try to search knowledge, to try to search document, to ultimately to find the right person, because finding a right knowledge can just be a stepping stone, to find the person. So ultimately it's about networking in the end. I think these are some of the discoveries that I kind of found.
Well, it's a very different level that you have worked on masters in itself, because most of the projects that we see in terms of masters or in bachelor's itself here in Nepal is mostly management system, and but not in masters, I believe. But I have seen people copying over and over the same stuff. But like, how does universities and colleges try to promote these types of innovation and research in Finnish or even Sweden's universities?
Well, first of all, I saw a major difference in the way universities are also running there. The whole grading system is totally different. Yeah. Here, maybe we like really promote, memorization. Hey, you might maybe a semester for six months, but then you can also just cramp in all your studies for the last week before the exam and get a very good, scores and stuff. But the foundation and the basic way of how you are graded and how you are given assignments, how you are made to work, to that kind of actually really promotes your thinking and is really different there. And maybe that is one of the major reasons how universities are run. And I also saw that in universities, right from the university level, if you are a master's students in computer science or a bachelor's student in computer science, companies are really involved with the students as part of their academic course. And there were some courses where companies are giving projects for students, and where students get to apply all of the skills around Scrum maybe and around software development practices, and they get to use this while actually as a part of their academic course, and they build software for for these companies. And by the time that they are done with their bachelor's or master's, they have real world projects in their portfolio as well. And yeah, these are some of the difference. Companies are like really involved, and they just promote these things, and they are very involved with the students.
Yeah, hope we reach to that level in the future, but yeah, hoping for that. But we have talked very much about data and like how data can help in different scenarios and situations. But like Europe being Europe, they are very heavily focused on data privacy and compliances like GDPR and stuff like, hey, if you have my data, then I own it, not you. So like working in data specifically and like working with multiple sources and cleaning it up, or maybe building out solutions out of it, like how has data privacy been taken into consideration of in terms of your job role or even in the company level?
Yeah, I think it's a very sensitive issue, and people are also like very vocal about this as well, about data privacy and about consent and how the data is being used and about all the transparency surrounding this. I can at least say there is a non-profit organization called My Data, who's basically advocating this issue, which basically trying to balance out this power imbalance between companies that gather all this data about you and they have all the power, and you as a person who owns the data does not. You can just be lucky to just find out opt-in button and just hope that when you opt out or you want to get data deleted, and you can hope that it's deleted. That's all the power that you have. But the thinking that they want to implement right now is that data should be treated as your asset, your product. And it's this is one of the major difference that they are advocating. Data is your product and you should have total control over it, and the company should not be using this to get an upper hand over you. And even in the company, we have this thinking that transparency about how your data is used and consent should not be an afterthought while building systems, but it should rather be part of the process. You should involve people to come and co-create with you systems that also take privacy seriously and privacy at the core. And they really try to put these things at the core of what they do.
Yeah, but as you have mentioned a very important point, that saying, hey, like instead of focusing on data privacy and data related stuffs, or maybe even best practices, it's generally a practice like, hey, I'll implement this later, but it never gets implemented because then priorities change and things change. So if you have the mindset of saying, hey, like I will be compliant of this, I'll maintain the privacy, and like I'll follow the best practices from the very start, then it really gets implemented. So that's a very important point as well, is what I believe. But like we are a little bit at the end of this episode itself. And so thank you very much for all your insights that you have given us, and in terms of the level that we're working on. Some of the stuffs is very different than what I thought, and I'm very grateful to know about that, because like this is something that me personally have not worked on, and like this is very new to me as well. I hope the audiences that were listening to us also get to know a lot about it. And thank you very, very much for sharing all of your insights. But before ending this particular podcast, like, do you have anything else to say to the audience itself, to see like, hey, like if you want to build a career in data science and like build awesome products like this and have a exposure like this, like these are the things that you should do, and like any other notes that you want to give to the audience?
Yeah, sure. Well, if you want to, I can like really quickly say things. Keep exploring. Look at courses that you can definitely do. There are a lot of free courses that you can dip your hand to get an idea about what kind of data science projects that you can do. Start building your own portfolio around this. And if you're really interested, and if you have a background in stats or mathematics, that's great. You can get in. If you also just have experience in just software development, you can still get in. Yeah, that would be it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Very short note. All right. Thank you very much, Rachhek, for coming here. And like, I hope you have a great time ahead in Finland, and hope to see you there. Probably not here, but yeah, also here as well if you
Yeah.
happen to be in Nepal. But I really want to backpack in Europe, and let's see if COVID doesn't hit again.
Yeah. Thank you.
So-
Thank you very much, Ravi, for inviting me, and I hope to see you there.
Sure. Thank you very much. So to the audience who have been listening till this end, thank you very much. Like we'll be coming back with a new guest soon. Like if you like this episode, please like, and if you have any suggestion or anything to say, please comment on these videos, and please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm your host Ravi Mandal, director of Techkraft, and I would like to take a leave from this particular episode, and we'll see you soon again. Bye bye.